Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms, and this is my 2022 Ram 2500 diesel that cost me $83,000. About 6 months ago, this truck had a transmission failure. When the transmission failed, I called the dealership and got a warranty appointment, and then I recorded a video while I was angry, and I called it a piece of junk because this was my second Ram truck transmission failure in a little over a year's time. And so I published that video, and somehow between Facebook and YouTube, that video about my truck breaking down has over 4 million views. And on those 4 million views, there's at least 20,000 comments. I probably get 200 Facebook comments per day still from people venting, or there's a few categories that these comments fall in too. And today, basically, I'm going to give a long-term review on the truck now that I've had it back and been driving it for 6 months after the issue. I'm going to address everything that's repeatedly said to me in the comments about Ram trucks being junk, and I'm an idiot for buying a truck that costs that much, and I should have got a Toyota, and all of that. So, let's go. First, why in the world would anyone spend $83,000 on a truck? That's probably the #1 comment. That I'm personally hurting the truck market by buying a truck that costs that much. And idiots like me are the reason. And my favorite one, that I get this comment 20 times a day: I deserve to have my truck break down because I'm dumb enough to spend that much. Okay, so let's break it down. First, I earn my living with this truck, not solely, but if I didn't have this truck, I couldn't earn the living that I do. So I need a truck with this capability. Now, I do not need to buy a truck that costs this much to get this capability. So there's a whole separate conversation about should you buy older equipment or new equipment, and we'll get into that in a minute. But when I decided to buy a new truck that was capable of hauling what I wanted it to haul, and factor in, I wanted a diesel and the ability to seat more passengers, so I'm not getting a standard cab configuration, you're automatically at $70,000. And that's not Ram, that's all the manufacturers. And there are a lot of trucks that you see on the road that are driven by a guy who owns a concrete business or any number of other businesses that require him to haul, and he's worked really hard. And he's got to a point where he can spend that if he wants. And a lot of those trucks aren't $83,000. They're $95,000, $110,000, $115,000. That's what I didn't. This isn't even fully loaded at $83,000. I maxed out the safety features, security features, and the cab size, and that got me $76,000. I went $83,000 on things I didn't need. But we're not talking about this massive delta. I spent an extra 10% on things I didn't need, like the big display screen. But a lot of that is bundled into packages too, where if you want this safety feature, you're also getting this premium feature. So that's why I spent that much. And one thing I want to say is that if a guy has done well enough in life that he can afford a truck like this, it's nobody's business what he spends. Now, that's separate from whether or not it's a wise business decision. I probably should have got the cheapest 2500 that I could find, but I didn't, and here we are. Now, before I go through all the rest of the comments, because there's some doozies in there, there's some stuff I cannot believe people will actually type. But right now I want to give a review on this truck. This is the nicest truck I've ever seen or been in. It's the nicest vehicle I've ever been in. The comfort features, the drivability, everything about this vehicle is amazing. I had a transmission failure that was caused by a nick in a rubber seal that holds fluid back, that builds up pressure to engage the reverse. I'm no mechanic, I don't know much about transmissions, but I was taken into the shop at the dealership and shown the actual seal And they said this is a physical nick that happened probably during assembly and was not noticed. It was not because of the computer. It was not because of any of that. It was an oversight during the assembly. And that wasn't allowing fluid to build up on the reverse gear on what's called a bonded piston. And that was my failure. They replaced it under warranty. Outside of that, this is a phenomenal truck. I get almost 20 miles to the gallon, and I can tow 20,000 pounds. How many combinations are on the road that can tow 20,000 pounds and get 20 miles to the gallon? Not while towing. So those are separate things. I get 20,000 pound towing capacity, and I don't even know what I'm getting, like 10 when I'm towing heavy. But when I'm just driving it around, I get 20 miles to the gallon. Now let's answer the next question I get so much. Why would you ever buy a Ram? Only an idiot would buy a Ram. Rams are the worst truck. Well, I bought my first Ram truck in 1998, and it was a 1999 Dodge Dakota. And I was single, and I was making at the time like $17 an hour as an 18-year-old. And I spent everything I was making on that brand new Dodge truck. And I drove it for several years. I never once had any problem with it. I never did anything to that truck but change the oil. Then that was 24 years ago. And over the last 24 years, I've now had 5 Ram trucks. And the most expensive repair I've ever done on one of my Ram trucks is brakes. I have never had to fix anything on any of my Ram trucks. One of those was a 2008 Ram that I bought in 2015 that already had 100,000 miles on it. I put another 100,000 on it without ever doing anything to it. Then fast forward to 2019 when I buy a 2020 Ram 1500 limited $63,000 fully loaded truck. And I put 100,000 miles on it, towing right at its capacity, and I had a transmission failure. And I put that on myself. I said, that's me hauling at capacity all the time. Transmission failed. That's not an indictment on Ram. So at this point, I have a clean slate on Ram trucks. I think, and I didn't pay for it. It was under warranty. I bought the extended warranty. They paid for the transmission. I had a little hassle getting them to approve it, but they did. So at this point, I have nothing negative really against Ram, but I actually went to Ford and Chevy too, and Ford said, yeah, well, that's great. We like everything you're saying about what you want in a truck. We can get that for you in about a year. And Chevy said, 6 months to a year. And Ram said I could order it and have the exact truck I wanted in about 6 weeks. And it actually, I think, took 10 or 12 weeks. I'm not sure. But I bought the Ram because I had a 23-year track record, personally, of Rams being durable and reliable. And they could get it for me and the others couldn't. Now, still talking about Ram issues. Is Ram a junk truck? Are they worse, less reliable than the other manufacturers? Well, in the comments where I'm getting thousands of people telling me Ram trucks are terrible, I've also got a bunch of people telling me that they bought a brand new F-250 and it's been in the shop more than they had it. Now, I've got 50,000 miles on this truck in 18 months. 45,000 miles in 18 months, something like that. And in that 18 months, it was down for about 3 weeks, maybe 4, somewhere in that range, while they fixed that transmission seal. And other than that, it's been fantastic. It also had, there were 2 other issues I mentioned in the video. One was I was getting some water into the cab, and that was because I got the sunroof. I would never do that again. The sunroof seal, they get clogged or something, you have to blow them out. And I had that problem, and like 2 days before the transmission went out, I had a check engine light came on. It's never come on again. Dealership said it was probably because it was noticing something about the transmission wasn't right. So, now we've covered my review on this truck. Absolutely love this truck. Just hope the transmission holds up. And one more comment about only an idiot would buy a truck like this. I think you're missing 2 things about this truck price. First is that the truck is this price because there's a huge demand for trucks this price with this set of features. That's why there's such a long wait. That's why it takes a year to get one, because everybody wants one. People are lined up to spend that on them. Second thing is the used truck market. I can't comment on what it is today, especially since this video will be viewed a year from now. But when I bought my truck, I pulled onto the Ford dealership thinking, I'm here today to buy a Ford F-250. That was my plan. I was frustrated with Dodge not having any trucks. I said, I'm gonna go buy an F-250. I pull on the lot, one of them said $63,000 in the window. I thought, well, that's a, you know, an F-250, looks like a nice truck, $63K, that's cheaper than Dodge. Like, I'm gonna jump on that. And there were like 4 or 5 of them in that $60,000, $65,000 range. Every single one of those $60,000 trucks was used. Most of them were a couple years old and had 50, 60, 70,000 miles on them for 60-some thousand. Then I went on Marketplace and I was seeing trucks with 300,000 miles on them. Diesel HD trucks, 300,000 miles going for $25,000. There was no, oh, you should buy a $10,000 truck. It won't have wheels or an engine for a $10,000 truck in 2021 when I was shopping for this. So, that is what it is. And everybody's discounting that of what the market is and what it was. Now let's hit on the big one. Toyota. Every day, dozens of comments. Should have got a Toyota, should have got a Toyota, should have got a Toyota. Toyota and Honda and Nissan and all of the other, I'm not even going to call them foreign car manufacturers, all of the other companies with a foreign sounding name have eliminated themselves from the market for a guy like me. I have to be able to tow at least 14,000 pounds with any vehicle I have. They do not make a vehicle rated to tow that much. They're out. They are not trying to compete with Ford, Chevy, and Ram in that market. They may be the most reliable truck in the industry. They may be the best in a dozen ways. They have not decided they want to play in this market. And until they do, maybe don't bring that up in a video reviewing a Ram 2500. Next comment that I get all the time is, it's all this computerized junk. Well, if we're being honest, not your opinion, because I have that same opinion. That goes through my mind like, oh, all these computers are going to cause us all these problems. Everybody you know, okay, 95% of everybody you know drives a modern computerized car, and these computers are not constantly glitching out any more than you used to have to constantly mess with your carburetor. And you called that like, oh, that's just part of owning these, and, you know, I'm good with the carburetor, and I know how to take care of... You used to have to mess with them all the time, too. That's okay. You used to have to go out and warm your car up for a long time before you drove it. And that was considered okay. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. So, there's pros and cons. A big part of me thinks that this should be the last new truck I ever buy, and from now on, I should drive older, beat-up vehicles. But also, if I win at what I'm trying to accomplish in life, and I have enough money where I'm taking care of all my responsibilities, and I can afford this truck, so what? And if I can afford to fix it when it breaks down, so what? It's all about where you're at in life, and where I'm at is probably that I can't afford this truck, because I can afford it, but not having it would help me in a lot of other areas. Okay, another one. Oh my gosh, you could buy a Ferrari for that. Yeah, and I wouldn't trade 10 of them for this truck, because what are you going to do with it other than jack up every cost involved in your life for insurance and everything you can think of, and repair cost, and what are you going to do? Drive fast? Like, my days of driving fast ended about when I was about 19 years old and had a couple accidents from driving fast. And now I'm full grandpa mode. I don't care how fast I accelerate. I don't care what it sounds like. And the truth is, I could care less what this truck looks like. I drive it through the woods and get scratches on it, and for me, it's still a work truck. And that's why a lot of people were saying my truck's ugly. Well, I went with this flat gray look because I don't like anything flashy. Blacked out wheels, simple. I don't like anything flashy in my life. The next thing that people say all the time is, that's what you get for buying an American-made truck. Well, it's not an American-made truck. The company that owns this is European, and the truck's made in Mexico. So that's what I get for buying a American-made truck. And then the second set of comments is, that's what you get for buying a truck that's made in Mexico. Yep, just talked about it. It is what it is. Almost every vehicle that you can purchase now is made globally sourced parts, and a lot of them, the foreign name trucks, are assembled in the US. So none of them are American-made trucks. Next one that I get all the time is, you probably just don't know how to drive. Okay guys, it's not rocket science. It's an automatic truck. You got a tow haul button that you push. I mean, come on. I nicked that transmission seal because I don't know how to drive an automatic. The next thing is, that's why all these trucks should be standard transmissions. Well, no manufacturer currently makes an HD truck with a standard transmission. And I'm pretty sure that's because no one bought them. So maybe they should. Probably they should. But if people don't buy something, companies quit making them. So what's my verdict? The Ram 2500 is an awesome truck. Cross your fingers on the transmission. I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.